us to go to the hospital.
This is the right side of the body, and this is the left. This is the right upper quadrant. This is the right lower quadrant. They're both on the right side, and this is the left upper quadrant. This is the left lower quadrant. They're also both on the left side.
He injured his vertebral cavity by breaking his spinal cord, which is deep to the skin.
Vertebral cavity runs with the vertebrae column, which encases your spinal cord. Deep means away from your body surface. For example, your heart is deep to your rib.
Appendicular skeleton includes the skeletal elements within the limbs as well as supporting pectoral and pelvic.
Fall on the steps ruptured his spleen, which is an abdominal pelvic cavity, and then includes the stomach, intestines, the liver, and the bladder, and the reproductive system, and etc. And the spleen is located in the left hypochondriac region, and that is in the upper left side of the body. It appears that Joe has fractured his femur, which is proximal to his feet, meaning that his femur is closer to his hip attachment than his feet are.
Joe ended up breaking some of his ribs. His ribs are located in the right hypochondriac region in the right upper quadrant, and that is located in the right upper side of his chest. The ribs are more superficial to the heart, which means that the ribs are more towards the body surface than the heart is.
So Joe did his head pretty severely during the fall and did cause internal bleeding in the brain and the cranial cavity. And the cranial cavity is within the skull and encases the brain. The cranial cavity is part of the dorsal cavity, and that protects the nervous system. So the surgeon said that they have to operate on the brain, and they're going to make a cut along the mid-sagittal plane, which divides the body left and right on the midline. In the thoracic cavity, which is superior to the abdominal pelvic cavity, one of Joe's lungs got punctured by one of his broken ribs, and now he's having trouble breathing. The thoracic cavity is part of the ventral cavity, which is anterior to the dorsal cavity and contains the internal organs. They're going to operate, so they're going to make a cut along the frontal plane, dividing the body up into anterior and posterior parts. Anterior meaning towards the body, and then posterior meaning towards the back of the body. For example, the lungs are anterior to the spinal cord.
After the fall, it was clear that Joe had injured his axial skeleton, which consists of 6 parts.
To get a better look at the stomach, the surgeons will have to make a direct cut over the sagittal plane, which will divide the body in half.
So something went wrong with his intestines, and his small intestines are located in the umbilical region, and his large intestines are located on the right and left lumbar region. Surgeons are going to have to make a cut along the transverse plane, which divides the body into superior and inferior. Superior means towards the head, and inferior means towards the feet. For example, the heart is superior to the bladder. Your nose is inferior to your eyes.
For the rest of the regions, we have the right iliac, the left iliac, the epigastric, and the hypogastric.
Joe also broke his hips, and to explain where the hips are, his feet are distal to the patella.
To demonstrate the directional term medial, his nose is medial to his ears.
To explain the directional term lateral, your hip is lateral to your vertebrae.